Hi, I'm Grady Collane in the CapeCod.com News Center, and welcome to Sunday Journal. I'm joined today by Bill Hanney. He is a major player in the local entertainment industry for Cape Cod. Do you mind just introducing yourself? Tell us a little bit more about what you are responsible for here on the Cape.
Absolutely. My name is Bill Hanney, and I've been on Cape for a while. We currently own the South Dennis 10 screen, which we recently renovated, and now it's the Entertainment Luxury Cinemas, because we get chairs that you sit in and you could fall asleep on. And we also have the Falmouth Cinema Pub. We also own the Edgartown Theater, which is another island not too far away. And that's our exposure this way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you've been plugged in for a long time on Cape. You were actually a returning guest for Sunday Journal, too.
Yes.
Back in 2019, before some major events changed the entertainment sphere forever, which we're going to touch on later. But recently, you are making a tremendous expansion. You're going to be taking over the Regal Cinemas area of the Cape Cod Mall. You signed the lease. Can you tell us a little bit about what you have proposed and planned for that space?
It's something I've been working on for 3 years now. It happened because of the pandemic. I won't lie to you. I was doing something in the area, and I pulled up to the mall, looked at the theater, and everything was closed, and saying, wow, what's your future going to be to the movie theater? Because at that point, the film companies were their window was zero, because nobody could go to a closed theater anyways. And people at that point, during that horrible event, bought big screen TVs. Older folks learned how to use computers to watch stuff on the big screen TVs. And I said, wow, we didn't need the competition in the movie business prior to this, and this is not going to help at all. And I was actually really thinking at that point, the movie theater business is doomed. And I thought that actually for a while, till just recently, when I and I'll go back to this in a second, but when I watched the popularity, when there's a good movie out there, people actually come out. Barbie, Oppenheimer, Deadpool, the Disney thing, Mario Brothers, soon Joker, all these. So it's like, if you build it, they will come. If you make it and it's good, they will definitely want to come. And all that said, I'm looking at this theater, and I've been in the live theater business for probably about 15 years now, with the Theater by the Sea in North Shore Music Theater. And I live on the Cape in Brewster. So I said, I'm sick of having to travel 2 hours to one of my venues to watch one of my shows. So for this many years, I've been trying to find a venue on the island, which I call it. And this opportunity kind of the thought just fell into my lap. And no lie, that was 3 years ago. But we made a deal with Simon Mall Properties. They're extremely excited about this. This is the first time, and anybody out there that knows I'm not right on this, let me know. But there's nobody that's ever done this concept on the planet Earth. And the concept is, we take a large facility like the Regal in this particular case, which is 50,000 square feet, which is a lot, and we kind of reimagine it. And it's reimagined with three key components of entertainment. It is luxury movie theaters, which people, you don't need 12 of them anymore. People love. And we're going to introduce a cabaret theater in there, a comedy club, and a approximately 1,000 seat live performing facility to do things like Broadway shows that we already make, concerts, and just a variety of things. It's all under one roof. So when people go there, it'll be the gathering place. So we're kind of reinventing the movie theater experience by adding other things to it to make it, where do you want to go? We've nicknamed it, let's go to the X, because it's called Bill Hanney's Entertainment Experience. So I'll meet you at the X tonight. We're going to do something. We'll see a movie. We'll see a Broadway show. We'll see a comedy show. We'll go to the bar in the lobby. But we're going to go to the X, And I've never been more excited, and I have been for this 3 years now. And now the article broke a couple weeks ago in the Cape Cod Times, and I've gotten more people calling me, people I don't even know, which is good, saying, wow, 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 wow. That's how excited people are about this coming here.
So, but so your idea is the idea of I can go to the mall and spend the day. That hasn't really existed since the late '90s, in my humble opinion.
Yeah,
but now
Amazon killed that stuff.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, the retail space completely completely different.
Although I will say, I was at the mall the other day, And
It's a lovely mall, Simon. We're big fans.
It actually is, because I walked through it with some of the Simon people, and they're 90% full, which is pretty good today. And it's a clean mall. It's got what you need, when you need it, where it is. And for me to choose this location, number one, the building was existing, and it's a lot better to rehab something and make it from scratch. And I said, it's the place to be. It's the mall. It's Hyannis. It's 8 minutes to the highway because I time it. And it's also in the middle of Cape Cod. P-Town comes to Hyannis. Brewster comes to Hyannis. Falmouth comes to Hyannis. So it really will grab the entire Cape's population. And in the summertime, it's easier to get to because of the way you get to it. So everything's said. I think we chose the right location, and now it's up to us to get it done.
All right. Now, we were talking a little bit about this off mic as well before we started, but speaking of that Hyannis location, Hyannis is positively rife with restaurants and a lot of other retail spaces, but also on Main Street.
Absolutely.
Was that in your mind? Are you worried about like maybe competing for space or like drawing away from one?
No, because I'll give you the real answer to that one is people, their habits are really, and anybody listening and watching this will know, when you go see a Broadway show or a concert, you generally go to dinner before. There aren't enough restaurants, as far as I'm concerned, now. And thank God for Main Street, Alberto's, the West End, Naked Oyster, Tugboats. There are so many restaurants that will absolutely want to buy me a free meal for the business that they'll do. Teddy, remember that. Tugboats. And any case, because that's people's habits, and it just promotes everything in the excitement. And all those restaurants are literally 2 minutes away. 2 minutes away. And we have a big parking lot so people can park after they go to dinner somewhere and come into our amazing. Have you seen the rendering? Probably have, right?
I've seen bits and pieces of it, but don't quiz me on it.
I won't. But we will be transforming this theater that exists to something that it's actually beautiful. It's exciting and beautiful. And we did an article a couple weeks ago in the Sunday Cape Cod Times where people got to see what it's actually going to look like. Yeah. And I can promise you, you're going to love it.
It's exciting. So your goal is like all of Hyannis is going to be lifted up by this, right? Rising tide lifts all boats. The whole thing is going to be a more appealing place to be.
Hyannis for sure. The Cape for sure. Because one thing people do in the summertime, we explode here in the Cape. There's not enough things to do, and we just know that it'll elevate, which I consider my home, the Cape, in a much bigger, not better, but better situation because of one more thing to do that's exciting. And you may be coming from Plymouth or Boston or whatever on an overnighter or a weekend, and it gives you one more thing to go and do. Because it's all going to happen there between the luxury movie theaters, the cabaret, the comedy, the live theater, etc.
Yeah, I'm particularly interested in the comedy show stuff, but I'll save my personal questions for later. I also want to talk about so it's live. You have a love of live theater. You've spoken before.
Yes. Yep.
Cape Cod is, we love our community theaters, especially.
Absolutely true, by the way. The community theaters here there's a bunch of them, and they're all thriving because, again, one more reason, people want to do something. And that's what, and not say that's all they have to do, but there's one thing that they can do. We just want to be part of all that. We're not community theater. We have professional actors, not saying anything bad about community theater because we've all been there, started there, etc. But this is a caliber of shows. And the other reason I decided to do this is we already make the shows. My Theater by the Sea does 4 shows a year. Very expensive shows that after 4 weeks go into a dumpster. And that will no longer happen. They'll have another home to visit. Bus, a truck, and they're off to Cape Cod. Because most of the cost of producing a show gets you to opening night. After that, running it is the inexpensive part. Because when you imagine that, we have number one, auditions, rehearsals, designers, directors, choreographers, sets, costumes, props. I could go on for an hour with just what it takes to put it to a Broadway show. And that will just move from Rhode Island to here, which is economically a really good thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Hey, I'm all about it. So, but you don't think you're going to be so not stepping on the toes of local small independent
No,
theaters? It's just a
we don't do that in Rhode Island. We don't do that at North Shore Music Theater. They all have their reason to be there. A lot of those people become actors at some point. They go on my stage. They're not just the local butcher that's being somebody in Fiddle on the Roof tonight. And that's terrific as far as I'm concerned. No, because you can't go. We're not going to be expensive. We're not going to be cheap. Our tickets will be anywhere from $40 to probably $80, which is pretty inexpensive for a
now hold on,
professional
Bill.
show.
Be careful making promises like that in this economy.
I already do it.
Oh,
yeah.
right.
The top ticket at Theater by the Sea, we started at $39. 12 years ago, whatever it was. We just decided not to raise the prices this year from $91. And we're at Theater by the Sea. We're at about a 95% season capacity. That's pretty good. We're 95% of our chairs are sold. Now, keep in mind, we're only open 16 weeks, and I have 500 chairs. Here, I have a better opportunity. I could be open 52 weeks and tailor my shows, big, expensive musical productions in the summertime. And then when we go off season, pick and choose the titles that we know the audience is out there for. And the other thing, which is going to be amazing, which is a thought that I had about a month ago, 2 months, was the fact that, wait a minute, when we're not using that big 1,000-seat theater, a screen can roll down. And you can be sitting in, not a luxury chair in the big house, but watching in an IMAX-type format a movie. So that on a given day, you can go and see, let's just say it's Deadpool. You can see it in one of the 7 or 8 luxury theaters with the big reclining chairs. You can see it on screen in the Cabaret Theater where the waitress serving you whatever you'd like to get as far as food, drink, whatever. Or you can go into the IMAX format theater and watch it on a huge screen. So it just utilizes all these couple thousand seats almost at all times. Mm-hmm. And that's the trick.
Well, it's a great, reusing all of it and making sure all that, because it's only this, it's a limited amount of square footage, so you have to put it all to use. But it seems like 12 theaters like before in Regal Cinemas is just
too much now.
Today is changed. And I actually want to talk about the audience and like the use case. You mentioned before, like the futures for theaters in general. You have places all over, including like Rhode Island. How does the Cape audience vary? We have that older demographic. Do you feel like you're plugged in enough to comment on like, is this a use for that? How does that work for you?
You've got a lot of folks here that retire, that want something to do. Mm-hmm. They want something to do. And this is right up their alley to come and see. Maybe it's My Fair Lady, or if it's Sound of Music, or if it's Hairspray. All the titles that I do in my years of doing this, named Mamma Mia, Jersey Boys, lots and lots of shows. And there's an audience here for that. And in the summertime, there's a bigger audience. So we just will tailor our shows like we do at Theater by the Sea. Same thing. It's a summer theater. And we have to know what the people in summer, they don't want to see some depressing, crying play. They want to go see something fun. And that's all I want to do is that kind of entertainment.
I can hear my mother revving up the engine now at the mention of Mamma Mia. That's going to be it's going to be a big poll.
Oh, and I just saw it the other night in Boston, as a matter of fact. I've done that show 4 times, twice at each theater. It's one of my favorite shows, and I can promise you we will be bringing it to this island at some point in the next couple of years.
All right, I'm going to hold you to that. So is my mother.
Guaranteed. And I can't disappoint Mom.
It's
without
true.
a doubt. Yeah.
At my behest, please.
Yes.
But the the live theater is a huge proponent. Why? What's the appeal of live theater? How did you get involved? I know that some of it was live theater for you. Like, why? What is the necessity of making sure you have so much space dedicated to the live portions?
Because the only reason I'm doing it is that. Mm-hmm. The only reason I'm doing this project is to bring the live theater to the Cape, as I said earlier, where I live, and I can go see my shows without traveling a long way. Mm-hmm. And knowing this, and again, I call it an island a lot because I consider it an island. Take those 2 bridges away, and you're swimming. That it's just a perfect place to do this because, again, you can't just hop in your car and go see Phantom of the Opera at the Opera House in Boston. It's a long way away. Mm-hmm. But we can bring stuff like that here where you can more conveniently and more affordably. I don't care how much money you have or don't have. It'll be affordable to see this stuff.
Sure.
And I'm looking so forward to renovating that theater. That's one of my favorite things to do is renovate.
Like the break ground, get the shovels in and feel the change.
Just colors and architecture, everything. We're going to have a huge bar in the lobby that'll be almost like Las Vegas, where over in that corner over there, there'll be, if you've ever been to a casino in Las Vegas or anywhere, they've got I don't want to call them lounge singers, but people that are just very, not loud, but they're present, doing something, entertaining the room, which is the lobby. And you can sit there at the bar or some of the tables around. We're also opening up the outside space, if you know where that pond is on the other side,
Yes.
The retention pond, which is very pretty. We're taking all that glass, it'll open up to outdoor seating. So you could sit out there, have a drink, have some food, just hang out. You'll hear the singer in the lobby, because you probably see it through the glass, or him. And it's just, you'll walk into excitement.
Mm-hmm. All right. Very interesting. So we already touched on this a couple of times already, but like the industry has changed. I just saw some news about how AMC theaters trying to dodge bankruptcy as of late, but there's a huge investment that they want to put for theaters across the nation.
$2.2 billion.
Yeah, we were just talking about like, where's the money coming from? We're not sure.
I swear to God, I'll give you my phone number, people. I can do some of that.
Yeah, but like it's like the appetite seems to be different from like what people are expecting. But like, what do you think needs to be done as a professional in the same industry? What's going on?
Well, I think the days of 12, 15, 20, 25 screen theaters are about as over as it gets. Not necessary anymore. That's, again, why this works. You don't have 12 movies right now. You can do 12 movies in what I said a few moments ago, but you have 6 or 8 dedicated movie theaters. That's all you really need. We have 10 at South Dennis because it's always been 10. In the summertime, we need more in the summertime, but we have a whole year to look at, not just the summertime. And I feel that actually it makes me happy to hear that somebody's going to spend $2.2 billion in upgrading theaters. It means they're probably hopefully smart people, and they know that there's a reason to do this, and there's a reason that we're going to do this. The industry should be solid. I don't want to take the kind of chance. I like this diversity of, if the movies aren't working this week, maybe my live show is. Maybe the cabaret act is, or the comedy act. There's always something that would be working within the facility that keeps it going nicely. And that's pretty much, what I could be wrong. If I am, you guys need any help here? Because I need a job. We just took over a theater in Portland, Maine. We're going to do the same concept in Portland, Maine. Again, another great city with nothing happening there. And that's what people want, entertainment. And they're willing to go and support it if you bring it.
Yeah, it's here on Cape Cod. We have those beautiful beaches, but after day 7 of Nauset-litis,
or what if it rains?
Exactly.
Yep. Or at nighttime, you want to go to the beach till 3:00, go do a barbecue or get ready, go to Alberto's for a 6:00 dinner, and then make your way over here to see an 8:00 My Fair Lady or whatever was showing at the theater. I think it couldn't be better. And as a patron, I would love it. But I don't have to pay.
One of the benefits.
One of the benefits.
That's gotta have some little extras thing to make it all worth your while.
Exactly.
So I wanted to just chat. I don't know exactly what is set in stone yet, but just like rough timeline. I'd heard rumors
the rumors are that Regal has a lease, and they're up. I think it's up in December, January. We're now in our planning stages, architectural plans, design plans, ordering these chairs, the luxury chairs. They're almost $700 each, and they take time to make. Okay. And so
do you have them, fit the space? Do you have to order specific?
What we're doing is there's a new concept out there in luxury theater chairs, which actually fit on the current stadium levels, because right now you've got seats, and in front of you got lower 6 inches, another row of seats. Well, this will occupy the 2 rows, but it will be a lot. We've done, when I did South Dennis, it was major construction. All those stadiums had to be extended to twice what they were. But at that point, this was only a year ago, these chairs didn't really exist. Now they exist. So we could save a fortune, and the public will love the chair. We can now take that money and put in the chairs things like heated seats, All kinds of, forget the button that goes, you do everything but loose, there's things like headrests that move. There's so many theaters, so many things you can look at these chairs now. I'd rather spend my money there than building a stadium that you don't need and put these seats on an existing stadium. Mm-hmm. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's interesting. So that's going to be one of the major things you got going on for the luxury seatings. But then, so what are some of the stuff that needs to get done before you can open? Is it also going to be
Well, what's going to open first will be, I've thought a lot about this, believe me, in this couple of years.
Oh, so like maybe staggered?
Yeah, exactly. The easiest things for us to do are the movie theaters. So we'll probably go in and do the movie theaters first. And start working on the hardest thing will be the live theater. It's major. We're doing major construction. For instance, Cinema 10, which is a pretty large theater right now, will be just a stage. That'll be the stage. The auditorium will encompass cinemas 11 and 12. And then Cinema 9 will be all the ancillary dressing rooms, and we're going to put a second floor within that space. So we've got dressing rooms and costume rooms and all the stuff you need to support putting that show on the stage right across the wall. So that will take the longest. I'm hoping, I don't think there's any reason not to hit 2026 on that part, but that's what we're aiming for. I don't see it at the end of 2025 because by then it's going to be, January, February. I don't want to open something like this up then. I'd rather wait till the spring and then open up this thing with big fanfare.
Sure, makes sense. But so the theaters being a bit easy, do you think those could be 2025?
Oh, absolutely. I want to see those in the spring.
In the spring of next year?
Yep.
This upcoming one?
Absolutely.
All right.
Next spring. Only because we do that in our sleep. And I made it easier without having to do a ton of construction. All we have to do now is make it pretty. Because one of the areas we're also having to put in is a kitchen to support all these rooms. Because the Cabaret Theater, which will be quite big, it'll be almost like if you've been to Vegas with the banquettes and all that stuff, very plush, very beautifully decor. And it'll do things like comedy or personal appearances or cabaret acts or weddings or events, because it'll be very conducive to sitting there, being served food and all that kind of stuff, watching a stage show, or maybe the wedding parties on the stage. That's where they are. And everybody else is in either the tables and chairs in front of it, or you move it a little bit and there's a dance floor. And then I'm going to call it the balcony, but the stadium, which will be all the banquettes. I'm excited.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. What is the, do you, when it comes to like the food, it's still going to be like popcorn theater and stuff, but what else?
No, it's going to be, you'll always have, this is going to be like we do in Falmouth. It's going to be, to me, it's a good one. Pub style food. You're not going to get a steak dinner because you're not there for that. You're there to get a delicious burger or quesadilla or a salad or a pizza, burgers, hot dogs, nachos, mozzarella sticks, all that stuff that will satisfy an appetite, but it's not going to be a sit-down steak dinner. That's where they're all going to go to the restaurants around town.
Aha! So that's why you're like, oh, it's not really going to compete. You want to that way, it'll be a benefit.
Absolutely.
We've made a terrible decision. We're doing this recording before my lunch, at least, and so now I'm in great pain. Bill.
Well, you know what? We'll have to make it quick. I'm kidding.
Oh goodness!
You can't shut me up. Just saying.
No, we still have so much to talk about. So okay, but that is interesting. So the food is going to be focused for that kind of style.
Yeah, because we want it to be
time-tested.
Sit there, and it'll probably become more elaborate. But it'll never be a restaurant sit-down experience because you're there for another reason, to see a show. So you'll get there earlier. You'll have some kind of food event thing, and then the lights will go down, and you'll watch a cabaret act or whatever it is. The movie theaters will also serve the traditional popcorn, soda, candy, nachos, a lot of the same stuff. Probably waitress service to your chair. The Cabaret Theater, no-brainer. You'll sit there to watch Deadpool, and you'll have a waitress there to order whatever you like, a drink or food or whatever.
Sure.
And when you're in the Broadway house, it's going to be not luxury seating. It'll be very, very comfortable seating, but we need lots more of them. So we can't take up that kind of real estate on a big plushy chair. We'll make it a traditional theater-style chair that's very comfortable. And then you'll be able to get a glass of champagne or wine, or we don't want people bringing a pizza in. So that probably won't happen. But again, it's just 3 different major types of entertainment that we all know under one roof.
And you just answered the next question already, which was going to be like the liquor licensing potentially. So that would be a big change for that area.
They have one now.
Oh yes, they do.
Yeah.
So but I was wondering how much of this is. I've heard rumor that this is like the idea of like food, drink, pub style food with like your theater experiences, like big out in California. I've seen them in Texas and
They're
stuff
in Boston,
like that.
Alamo Draft House.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was just about to bring
Yeah.
up the Alamo.
Yeah.
So it's like why do you think that hasn't really come out to the Cape before?
We have it in Falmouth, and I'm telling you right, the kitchen in Falmouth used to be an auditorium. Now I didn't build the kitchen. We took the theater over after somebody else left. But it's huge. It would support a steak dinner. We just don't do it there. And we put the big chairs in Falmouth, which cut our capacity down dramatically. It's it's one of the top grossing theaters on the Cape now. And our food and beverage part of it is equal, but greater than the admission dollars. Because people go there and they'll spend, they'll spend $8 or $10 or $12 for a ticket, but you'll spend a lot more with a drink, a beer, a rum and coke, or whatever it is, and a burger, French fries, whatever you're doing. And our ticketing, our per ticket per caps are terrific there. So we know it works. We know it works, and all I have to do is move over to this place.
All right. Well, Bill, that pretty much covers all the topics I wanted to hit so far. Also coming up on time, unfortunately. But is there anything else you wanted to highlight for our listeners while you're still here about the upcoming project, or just like the trends you're seeing in the industry?
Yeah, no, I think we're gonna be innovative, and I think it's gonna work. And this is the most important part. I always tell my audience, with your support out there, you gotta go to see the shows and eat the food. And I promise you, as long as you do that, I'll do what I do.
Sounds good, Bill. But last question: what do you think is going to be your favorite? Do you have a personal preference when it comes to some of these offerings, or do you have a sweet spot for the live theater? Are you classics for the movies?
I've been in movies since I was 14, so I love them. But I'm addicted to live now. It's a lot more work, but I'm addicted to it, and it's just when you can put a good show together, because we always don't win them all. There's no better feeling than that when you see we're doing $1 Million Quartet right now at the North Shore Music Theater, and 1,100 people nightly stand up and scream and cheer for what they just saw. There's no feeling like that if you're the producer of the show than I get when I see that. So that's what I like best.
For the Gen Xers, not Gen Xers, sorry, there's Gen Z and Gen Alpha or whatever it is now. For those who are like, oh, I like a good movie, but like the theater is kind of boring to me. What's the magic for it? What would you say? Like, how do you?
The environment. You're going to walk into an environment that's going to be just excitement. You're going to go to a beautiful auditorium, sit in a very comfortable chair, watch a movie with sound. You can get it at home. You can get as big as your screen could be, but there's nothing like a big screen with big sound, with an audience that is doing it with you. And that's what the movies are always been about and always are about.
All right, Bill, thank you so much for joining me for this conversation.
Thanks for having me.
It has been a pleasure. We'll look forward to that opening day.
I can't wait.
All right. Yeah, thank you. And thank you, our audience members, for listening on this episode of Sunday Journal. I'm Rudy Collane in the CapeCod.com News Center.